with step 31, and so far we're still on colors. So we've already done primary colors and we've also done secondary colors. Yeah, and in the previous video I added a link to this article here on basic color theory for web developers, and I'll also link it in this video as well. You can have a look at it to learn more about basic color theory. All right, so next up, let's continue with tertiary colors. So these are created by combining a primary color and a nearby secondary color. Okay, so they say nearby because there is what we call a color wheel, right? So there's a color wheel. Okay, so a primary color is basically combining a tertiary color is combining one of the primary colors and a nearby secondary color. Okay, so that's why I encourage you to read this article. It gets into the detail of it. So for example, you can see this wheel here and it indicates some tertiary and primary and secondary colors. All right, so to create the tertiary color orange, let's update RGB function in the one CSS rule so that it is a mix of red at the max value and green at a half value. So to do that, we want to maintain this red at max value, and green, we want to set it to 127. And as you can see, that gives us orange. Okay, all right. Okay, so notice that to create orange, you had to increase the intensity of red and decrease the intensity of green. So we had to put red to 255 and we had to put green to 127. This is because orange is a combination of red, okay, which is this, and yellow, and falls between the two colors on the color wheel. Okay, so let's see the color wheel. Okay, this is the color wheel and this is orange. Okay, so orange is a combination of red and yellow. Okay, let's continue. To create the tertiary color spring green, combine cyan with green. So the way we do that is to update the RGB function in 2, which we have here, so that green is at the maximum value. So this is green. We want green to be at the maximum value. And we want to set blue to 127. Okay, see, we have this spring green color here. Very beautiful color. Yeah. Now I want to create the tertiary color violet, and the way we do that is to combine magenta with blue. So in the RGB function, we want to set blue to the maximum, which is 255, and we want to set red to 127, which is like half. Okay, and then we see this violet color here. So these are examples of tertiary colors. Okay. All right, there are 3 more tertiary colors. Chartreuse green, which is a combination of green and yellow. Azure, which is a combination of blue and cyan, and rose, which is a combination of red and magenta. Okay, so let's try creating these ones. For Chartreuse green, we want to update the RGB function so that red is at a maximum, so 255, and we want to set red to 127, so 127, and we want green to be at the max value. Okay, so this is what we get. And for Azure, we want to set green to 127 and then blue to be the max. So green will be 127 and then green will be the maximum value, which is 255. Okay, and then for the rose color, we want to set it such that blue is 127 So blue is 127, and then red is set at the maximum, so that will be 255. All right, so these are some more tertiary colors. There's Chartreuse green, this is azure, and this is rose color. Okay, so there's something wrong somewhere. Hint, your one CSS should have a background color of property set to 1. Okay, so there's a mistake here. Green should be 255. Okay. All right, like so. All right. All right, so now that you've gone through the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors on the color wheel, it will be easier to understand color theory concepts and how they impact design. First, in the CSS rule, 1, 2, and 3 adjust the values in the RGB function so that the background color of each element is set to pure black. Okay, remember that the RGB function uses the additive color models where color starts at black. So as you can see, when everything is set to 0, 0, 0, it is black. But as we increase the numbers, the colors also increases. Okay, so yeah, that is what is referred to as the additive color model, the RGB. Okay, so what do we want to do in this case? We, in the CSS rule 1, 2, and 3, adjust the values RGB so that the background color of each element is set to pure black. So the way we do that is to just say 0, 0, 0. Okay, so we use 0 for all of them because we want the background color for each one to turn out to be black. 0, 0, 0. All right, so now we have 3 black markers. Okay, so a color wheel is a circle where similar colors or hues are near each other and different ones are further apart. For example, pure red is between the hues rose and orange. Again, I will highly encourage that you read this article here, and yeah, you get to understand the color wheel better and also get a good understanding of the basic color theory. All right, 2 colors that are opposite from each other on the color wheel are called complementary colors. If 2 complementary colors are combined, they produce gray. But when they are placed side by side, these colors produce a strong visual contrast and appear brighter. So let's see an example here. In the RGB for 1, set the value of red to a maximum of 255. So 255, and in the RGB for 2, set the maximum value for green and blue to 255, okay, to produce cyan. So 255 for green and then 255 for blue as well. All right, so as you can see, these 2 colors complement one another very nicely. All right, so notice that the red and cyan colors are very bright next to each other, and this contrast can be distracting if you overuse it on a website, because it can make it hard to read text. So it's best practice if you choose one color as the dominant color and then you use another as a complementary color. Okay, in that way you're able to bring attention to the most important elements on your website. So first, in the H1 rule, we want to set the RGB function and set its background color to cyan. So let's do background color, and the value we want to give it is RGB. Okay, so we know cyan is a combination of red and green. Wait, I'm confused now. Let's see, 0, 255, 255. Yeah, so it's a combination of green and blue, and as you can see, black with a cyan background looks really good. Okay, next up, in the one CSS rule, we want to use the RGB function to set the background color to black, and in the two, we want to use the RGB function to set the background color to yellow. So the way we set it to black is to make all of them 0 like so, and to set it to red, we turn the first value to 255, the second value to 0, and the third value also to 0. All right. Okay, so now notice how your eyes are naturally drawn to the red color in the middle. When designing a site, keep in mind that you need to use this effect to draw attention to important elements like headings, buttons, and links. There are several other important color combinations outside of complementary colors, but you will need to learn those a bit later. Once again, I would stress that you try and read this article here, and it covers most of the important things that you need to know about color theory. Okay, so for now, use the RGB function in the two CSS rule to set the background color back to black. So we just give 0 to this one, and let's continue. Okay, so now we want to go to the H1 and want to remove the background color property so that it will be back to the default white background like we had before. Okay, yeah. So now we will end this one here, and in the next video we are going to look at steps 41 all the way to steps 50. Okay, so see you in the next one.